Stretch. You can put it on the board. Yes.
Welcome to Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP TV mobile studios here in Park City, Utah. That's AAMP TV. Today's show is brought to you by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even contracts given to people they don't understand, plus a whole lot more. For more information, contact Legal Shield at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305, or visit them online for more information at nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. And a big welcome to everybody listening in down in Las Vegas on Magic 97.9 FM and all of our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Even a big hello to our friends over in WDJY in Atlanta. Big press release came out today with them. Make sure you check it out. Just Google the Sports Circus, and you'll be able to find out all about it. And also a big welcome to everybody watching on YouTube, Facebook, and needless to say, all of our hotel affiliates from coast to coast as well. 650,000 rooms from coast to coast. Here with two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior, Tyrone Poole. Welcome back, young man.
How we doing, Sal? It's always great to be in the circus, man. It's nothing like the circus.
Buddy, you're in the Dome today. How'd you get in there?
It's the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so that's what we call it here in Atlanta. So I had to get access. I got access, and I came in, and they said, okay, you could do the Sports Circus live from downtown, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So, hey, here I am representing Hotlanta, the Falcons.
Representing Hotlanta. All right. Hey, you know what? Right from the very top, we have a very special guest. And let's let her introduce herself.
Dr. Jen Welter, first female coach in the NFL and in Madden. Also first female to play running back in men's pro football, two-time gold medalist with Team USA, and a four-time women's pro football champion.
Holy smokes. Man, that is a big trophy case. All right, welcome in, Jen.
Yes.
Also a three-time WPFL champion, an IWFL champion, two-time gold medals. I want to know a little bit about the gold medal side. Tell me about that.
The first ever women's U.S. national team through IFAF. And, there were a group of us that were like, I got to do that. And thankfully, the fourth Super Bowl that we won in 2008 was against the Chicago Force. The head coach of that team decided he really hated my face because I messed up his offense a lot, which then leading to, as you guys know very well, the one that you hate to go against is what? The one you want on your team. So I credit that Super Bowl win with my place on the U.S. national team. So in 2010, Team USA, 45 of the best females to ever play the game, got to go into the world stage. And what was so crazy is, this, like we in football, we love our tape, right? Like we are tape junkies. I used to laugh and say we watch tape of watching tape. Now imagine going into a world championship where there's no tape. You have no idea what any of the competition looks like. So you really have to come together very fast, be prepared for everything. And, something I'll never forget, the 2010 U.S. national team has a record that I dare anybody to try and even match. Over 3 games, we won 201-0. So 201 in 2010, right. As we gave the 201 reasons to hate us.
201-0.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, Tyrone, out of all your time, what's the biggest margin of victory you've ever had?
Whoa, I know what. We didn't score no 201, but I might have been maybe like a 40 point win, maybe.
Right.
That's the most.
Which is a complete blowout in the first place.
Right.
Exactly.
And we had a few of them, but as a defensive player to be able to, pitching one shutout is hard, much less pitching three. And on the international stage, NFL players don't like it when they have a Thursday game. We had 3 games in a week and a roster of 45. So it's a tight roster. Everybody's got to play. Your recovery time is really, really short. So to be able to go unscored upon and win a gold medal, it was something we couldn't even repeat in 2013. In 2013, Team Germany scored 1 touchdown against us.
Wow. The only thing I can equate to that is back when the 85 Bears, when they shut out the Rams and the Giants. I'm like, that's in the playoffs, man. I'm like, you don't shut nobody out in the playoffs. So that's the only thing I can kind of think of.
And 21-0.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It's very exciting. Oh, by the way, folks, we're here with Dr. Jen Welter and Tyrone Poole. Big welcome back to everybody on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, iHeartRadio, Spotify. All right, so let's talk about a little bit of conditioning. So, Jen, 3 games in a week. Tyrone, imagine 3 games in a week. Look, I want you two to speak to what does it take just to prepare for 1 game, let alone Jen's 3 games.
I look at it now and even think about it now and I go, oh, I remember after one of them, I took a pretty bad shot to the quad. Someone was trying to chop block me and hit it a little bit too high, which I'm sure Ty just kind of like shook on that. And I had, one of those knots that just won't go. Like my whole leg was frozen and our trainer looked at me and he goes, I can make you play and you're going to hate me. And I was like, oh my gosh, just do it. Right. Like, and you just put in your mind, like, this is what you got to do to get on the field. And him breaking down that pain in my leg, it was pretty much one of the most excruciating things ever. But, that's a lot of being an elite athlete, especially at that level, is really the ability to recover and the importance of it.
Yes.
And being 100% in the game.
Yes. And well, I can't relate to playing more than probably 2 games within a week. And when I say 2 games in a week, basically, just like Jen alluded to earlier, Thursday night, you got Thursday, Sunday, Monday. So if you play on a Thursday, then the only closest I can equate to playing 3 games or back-to-back games would be if you play on Thursday and then you got to come back and play like on that Monday or something. But they very seldomly do that because of recovery, because football is a brutal sport and you got to give that body time to recover. It's not like baseball. Baseball, you could probably play 5 games back-to-back. Basketball, the same thing. But football, if you get a bruise, you got to at least get that thing 3 days to heal. It's going to take 24 hours just to find out how much swelling you got in that injury. So you can't go right back.
Mercy.
No, and also, there's the prep time too, which is one of the things that makes football the game that it is. I always tell people football is full contact chess, right? And there is so much that goes into the preparation for each game and the game planning that anytime you have a shortened cycle, as a player, man, it's that physical. As a coach, it's both, right? You're making sure that your players are physically able to get on the field and that they are mentally prepared. And our weeks are so structured to be able to lead people into it that, that's why I said the Thursday night game, that's a tough turnaround already. And then imagine adding 1 more game in that week. So.
Wow. That's crazy. I love that phrase of full contact chess. Tyrone, what do you think about that one?
No, like they say, it's not checkers, it's chess. So you always strategizing. You always got to find out how to recover. I know myself as a player, being a starter for so long, you got to get the recovery. That's why I guess maybe now, as a retired athlete, I don't care too much about traveling, because it's like my body traveled so much for 12 years from city to city, lifting weights, running, all that stuff, which I still do now, but I do it at a very minimum, not as intense level that I did while I was playing. But I would prefer just to lay around and just chill. I don't have to do anything. But it's tough.
Yeah, I mean,
So what about
I can't
baseball,
even
Sam?
imagine that. Hey, look, I mean, from a baseball side, like I had my time of playing ball, and I could tell you that I could play a position, not as the pitcher, but I could play a position 5 games a week. I could do that one. But when it came to being up on that hill, I got to have recovery time for that shoulder, because, man, that hose be hanging the whole time, and my arm would absolutely be killing after 7 or 8 innings. But we didn't pitch 1 inning, 2 innings. Hell no. No, we were the guys going front to back in my day, not this where we had 55 pitchers coming into the game. Tell you what, we're going to be back here with this lovely lady, Jen, and with this young man, Tyrone, in just a few moments here on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus. Join me and Hall of Fame world champion and all-star celebrity guest for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms. Also, thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
My favorite one had to do with the Green Bay Packers. And I love the fact that they dealt off Ty Montgomery because of a blown assignment. Green Bay isn't Green Bay unless they have a good running game. Then they can win 10 Super Bowls. The fact is, you don't have a running game. You've got 70% passing, and that's not where Aaron Rodgers needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he's got a running game to offset the passing game and so forth. I like the move. Green Bay didn't have a running game anyway, so all they're doing is saying, we're going to get rid of you because you don't follow instructions.
Well, he made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. They traded him on Tuesday.
They should have cut him on Sunday night.
He shouldn't have been on the plane back to Green Bay.
Right, they should have made him walk back to Green Bay.
No, it was a terrible play. Now, he's not a stupid guy. He went to Stanford.
Really?
He's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, but he doesn't follow instructions.
He made a terrible play.
The fact is he didn't follow instructions. And you say he's not a dumb guy. His own agenda he put ahead of his team.
I agree.
Thus, he is a dumb guy. Right or wrong?
Wrong. He just got selfish. You're not going to convince me that a guy from Stanford's a dum-dum.
No!
Yeah, this is Sidney Justin from The Miracles.
So you heard yesterday's show at Roy Firestone. Didn't you hear a little clip about him going into the office where Smokey was at? That was really good material, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really funny, man.
Yeah, and then you heard him.
I thought it was hilarious. It was cool, though. It was cool. Really cool story, man. I enjoyed listening to that.
Right, and then he gave a couple of bars. Can you give us a couple of more from Ooh Baby Baby? And let's see if you could do it better than Roy Firestone. Come on, man!
All right, you know what? Why not? I did you wrong. My heart went out to play. But in the game, I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Ooh, baby, baby. How's that, man?
That's
Is that okay? Is that good enough?
That's incredible.
That's fantastic.
You know why? Because that's what you do. You're in the incredible business, Sid. That's awesome. Yes! Only on the Sports Circus. You're going to get sports? You get music?
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP TV mobile studio here in Park City, Utah. That's AAMP TV. Make sure you Google AMP TV. All right, folks, this segment brought to you in part by Cali Vegas, helping people create and host their very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk show. Cali Vegas can help them with everything they need to get out of sitting in hours of traffic or sitting at home trying to figure out what your next move is and trying to figure out how to start your very own home television or radio show. How do you like that? In your very own home studio. For more information, contact Cali Vegas at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Or visit them online at calivegas.com for more information. That's CALI Vegas.com. And welcome back to everybody listening in down in Las Vegas on Magic 97.9 FM. Our friends over in Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, welcome in. All the way down in Corpus Christi and the greater Houston market, KSIX CBS Sports as well, and everywhere else around the country listening. Can't name them all. We just run out of time. Nonetheless, a big welcome also in for everybody watching us on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, as well as Facebook and Hotel Television. Back here with two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior, Tyrone Poole. There he is, always looking dapper. He's got that top button again. I can't do it, buddy. I just can't do it. I'm telling you.
To the top. And hey, let me say something. You know, I'm here in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, downtown Atlanta. Guess what? The American Ninja Warrior, when I was on it, they did it on the outside. They call it the Home Depot. The Home Depot area, where it's nothing but turf, and that's where a lot of the pregame stuff happens. But just outside the Mercedes-Benz Stadium was where I did the American Ninja Warrior. How about that?
American Ninja Warrior. How exciting. That's very exciting. Very exciting. And you know what? You know what else is exciting? We just happen to have a superstar former running back and coach, three-time WPFL champion, IWFL champion, two-time world champion on top of it, Dr. Jen Welter. Welcome back, Jen.
Yes, welcome.
How are you
I look like a one-man slum next to her. Jeez.
Hey, I got a question for Jen. Now, I go to your website, and you say greatness is a choice you make over and over. And when you make that choice, personal greatness, big or small, whatever that personal greatness is, it becomes part of who you are. My question for you, what choices have you made over and over that led to your greatness, where you are now?
I think that's putting in the work, to be honest. For me, like when I started playing football, for example, there was no kind of highest level you could go to. It wasn't like I set this big goal and worked backwards. But what you can do every day is show up and do the work. And you can also set yourself up for success, meaning accountability, that like on a day that you might sleep in, you don't have a choice because like there's a class full of people who are waiting on you. And that was something I did for years. Like I was, for women in football, it was like work by day, play football by night, and go to school by late night. And my work by day, part of that was I would work as a trainer. So I set up classes where essentially I was the rabbit and everybody had to chase me through my agility drills, through everything that I was doing. And I don't like to get caught. I'm competitive. So I had no choice but to be very fast. And also if it was like, a Saturday morning where maybe I would have liked to sleep in, you might sleep in on yourself, but you're not going to sleep in on like a team full of people holding you accountable.
I like that. I like so. Hey, Tyrone, hold on a second. Let me ask one other question before you jump in here. The running back position, does that go back to the rabbit that you just referred to?
Quite possibly, but I was not a running back through most of my career. In women's football, I was known as one of the fiercest tacklers in the game. I was either predominantly an outside linebacker or speed rush defensive end. I only played running back from time to time in women's as a blocker, but in men's pro football.
Yeah, that's why you're a defensive specialist. Defensive specialist. But hey, my daughter needs to meet you, but my daughter is a heck of an athlete herself. I'm like, she played flag football, softball, fitness. I'm like, whenever they did any type of fitness test for schools, they just basically just signed her name and just say, hey, here's your certificate already. We know what you're going to do. Track and field, she's going to the Junior Olympics. Basketball, where in track she runs the 100 and the 200 and the 400. But so she's great. And you know you're real good when the boys doing PE, when they got to select, they say, okay, I want her first. They pick you overall when it comes to boys. Right. So I'm like, were you that dominant coming up? And I'm like, were you just that person in the neighborhood where everybody's like, hey, I got to get Jen first?
Well, I was very small. I still am, though it sounds big on camera. If you haven't met me, I'm actually only about 5'2", 100 some odd pounds. So I was not necessarily the kid that you would say like, that's going to be the baller. But everything I played, I was really good at, and I was a great teammate. If we're talking tennis growing up, though, no, the guys would not play against me because I'd beat them really badly. That was my main sport. I remember actually at one point in high school, my boyfriend was the captain of the football team, and he always wanted to play me in tennis. And I was like, no, and I wouldn't play. And he was like, why, you're scared? And we broke up. And that day I agreed to play him, and I beat him really badly. And he goes, okay, I get it now. That's why you wouldn't play me. And I was like, yeah, your ego couldn't handle it. I also flipped him on the ground, like hip tossed in front of his whole baseball team. That was kind of notorious. I didn't really know it would work. I was training in karate, and he was giant, right? And I was just kind of messing around with him. And like, we're walking hip to hip, and I did it. And I was like, oh my goodness. And his dad was so funny. He was like, just keep walking. And he looked at his wife and he goes, oh, I love this girl. And we left it.
I got to get my daughter to talk to you. She's just phenomenal. Plus, she took Taekwondo herself. So when you talk about karate, she took Taekwondo. She didn't stay in it long, but she got up to a brown belt. But she was very, very, very good. Like I said, she's very athletic. Now, where she gets that from, I don't know. Maybe it's me, But she's a great athlete.
Maybe it's from the American Ninja Warrior in you. What do you think about that?
Well, hey, regardless, like I said, talking to Jen, I'm like seeing what she's done. Wow, Sal, and talking to you and just being in front of greatness. That's why I led off with her quote on her website, greatness. That's awesome. I love it.
I mean, it is a choice. And, just a little known fact, we actually have a Ninja Warrior connection. When I was playing on the men's team on the Texas Revolution, the crew from Ninja Warrior reached out and asked me if I could do it, but I had to turn them down because it would have been a violation of my contract. So,
wow.
They reached out, and that would have been really cool because I think that they do great stuff. So.
Yeah, we also have another Ninja Warrior connection on the show. We have a Ninja Warrior correspondent. That's Lance Pikas, the Cowboy Ninja. Lance has been on with us before for sure. And once in a while, he'll come back and give us his ninja outlook on things. But, Lance is just a regular good guy. He's one of the good guys in the whole sporting world. He's a rancher, a great husband and father, just a wonderful guy. And I think a lot of the humanness and the normalcy around the Ninja Warrior athletes, period. They're regular people that achieve extraordinary things. Would you both agree on that?
I definitely agree. Yeah. They're great people. There are a lot of people that I met during, the American Ninja Warrior finals here in Atlanta that they're great athletes. And I think we're all great athletes. I just think sometimes people don't understand, like Jen said, the greatness. Greatness has to be pursued. It's like nothing. People are waiting for things to fall into their lap. But if you want to be great, you got to take what you have. It's almost like you got to take your briefcase, your suitcase. You got to go to that job appointment. You got to position yourself. So it's a lot of great athletes that I've witness doing the American Ninja Warrior.
And it's
the psychological part. Hey, Jen, I was going to ask you real quick about the psychological part of whether it's Ninja Warrior or whether it's professional football or just the game of life here in our last minute, I want you to kind of touch on it, and then we're going to break and come right back with it. But think about that psychological, physical chess game, right? But what does it take mentally to prepare for that kind of battle, for a gold medal battle?
So much of it is realizing what I need to do in this moment right now to be successful. And I would say that's a great lesson for this pandemic as well, as there are a whole lot of things that are not in our control. We can't control what's going on in the world, the weather, the refs, the this, but you have one thing, right? It might be, read step, hit the hole, sack the quarterback. And if you can focus in on that and let the rest of the stuff you can't control go, you always have an opportunity to succeed.
All right, that's good stuff. Hey, Tyrone, take us to break, would you?
Well, you know what? We are chasing greatness with Jen and Sal and Tyrone Poole. We want you guys to continue to stay tuned, and we got great stuff coming up with the circus. I'm speaking slow because greatness sometimes has to come out slow. It's like molasses coming down a tree. But you guys stay tuned for some more Sports Circus.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Hello, Jack McDowell here, Black Jack McDowell, and you're watching the Sports Circus, which is totally cool. So you have a great time watching. Have some fun.
welcome back to the Sports Circus. I am no other than two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior Tyrone Poole. I am working that thing today with Sal, and we are working that thing with our great engineer Sonar, and also we have greatness as our host, Dr. Jen Welter. This segment is brought to you by the Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation, where we believe in reforming, refilling, and restoring success in family lives. If you want to learn more about the Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation, just go to TyronePoole38Foundation.org. Again, it's TyronePoole38Foundation.org. And I'm going to throw the ball, since Sal is a baseball man. I'm going to throw a fastball back to Sal the Ringmaster.
All right. And a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and those watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Hotel Television, and streaming at thesportscircus.com. Back here again, of course, with two-time Super Bowl champion who just spoke about the TP38 Foundation. Fantastic foundation. Has been with us for quite some time. And Tyrone, a big round of applause for doing the right thing for the kids and the families around the country.
Yes.
And we're also here with this lovely lady over here, and that would be Dr. Jen Welter, three-time WPFL champion, IWFL champion, two-time gold medal, world champion. She's done it all, running back, a coach in the NFL for the Arizona Cardinals, by the way. Jen, what's next on the agenda?
Oh, some things can't be talked about until they're ready to be talked about, but always moves. In COVID, actually, I've focused on, putting the PhD hat on to help kids. I released a series called Critter Fitter, last month, and it really helps families move through the tough emotional situations that we're in right now. We have book number 1. It takes you through Busy Bee, our character who's all about motion. So anything with Busy Bee gets the kids active with animal-based exercises, so movement and lots of laughter. Book number 2 is When a Ladybug Can't Hug, and that talks about social distancing and just, how hard it was to one day be able to, not be able to run up and hug your friends. And then book 3 is called Wearing a Mask Says I Love You, and it goes through all of the CDC guidelines in a fun way that empowers kids to be a part of the fight to defeat the invisible enemy.
All right. That's all good stuff. Yeah, Tyrone, you're an author as well. So here you have author to author. I'm surrounded by greatness, by champions, and by authors. Tyrone, give us your take on what you just said.
No, Jen, again, a lot of great information, as you said, Sal, with both authors. Both had an opportunity to play in the professional football ranks. Jen is just a great person. We want to thank her for coming on the Sports Circus. And what I want to ask Jen, now you had an opportunity to play in the Women Professional American Football League, the Independent Women's Football League, which are full contact sports. What is the difference, would you say, between the professional, yourself having an opportunity to be in Arizona, to work with the Cardinals? What do you see similarities and difference as far as the full contact league for women and the full contact league for men, football-wise?
I would say, first of all, in terms of the sport, it's the same. It's the love of the game, and the women play 11-on-11 NFL rules football, though you might see some hybrid college rules like, 1 foot in, stuff like that. The biggest difference is the ability to make it your life. For the women, we were doing it out of passion and playing when we could, whereas the men, it can be a profession. Right? For the women, the most I ever made playing women's pro football, and I call it pro because, what we were getting paid, we couldn't quite afford the professional. The most I ever made was $1 a game. And so though the love was there and I was one of the best players in the world for, 14 or 15 years, it never got to be my whole life until I was coaching for the Arizona Cardinals. So that's the biggest difference. And I hope moving forward, that, you know, the women get the opportunity to make it their life the way the guys do. Like the NAIA just announced that next year they will have the first season for girls flag football to be a varsity sport. And that's a huge step, because for the first time, girls will be able to look at football as a way that they can, you know, progress in their lives through the educational opportunities that can unfold through participating in the sport.
Yeah.
Right.
And
all right, folks, we're back here with Dr. Jen Welter and two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior, Tyrone Poole.
Hey.
All right. So let me ask you a question, Jen, regarding the being able to do it for a living. It's sort of the same conundrum. I think even though the ladies in the WNBA have a title for the WNBA, they're not paid hardly anything. They have to travel economy. It's really a bad situation for the ladies, generally speaking, and it's taken them decades to get where they're at. But imagine if they were treated somewhat like the men as far as the pay structure goes, then yes, it would be a full-time profession where they wouldn't have to necessarily have a second job, just like the NFL back in the old days where they had to have a second job. Now, the ladies aren't really getting any pay for this, but the action is just as exciting. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, I think it says a lot that a lot of the WNBA players have to go overseas to make better money.
Yes.
I think that in the United States, we can do a better job. For me personally, I know that when I played football, I used to look at the WNBA and think, if we could in football one day achieve that, that would be a dream come true. Then when I went to the NFL and I saw how different it was, and I learned that at that time, and thankfully they just renegotiated the contract for the WNBA, which helped some. But at that time, we were talking about a salary cap for WNBA players of $110,000 if they were 6 years vested. And I thought,
right,
well, I'm selling myself way short, because that shouldn't be the best that we could possibly aspire to be. And so,
right,
you know, now what I realize is that if we want to see women have better positioning for women in sports, we have to take that influence and make the dollars make sense, meaning use the purchasing power and leverage it with sponsors that will incentivize them to put more dollars into women in sports and the girls programs that feed up to it. And we also need, both in men and women's sports, more diverse ownership groups that truly have the players in mind. And that, you know, I really learned that from the NBA or from the NFL and the experiences there, and hearing about, you know, the disparities in representation of diverse coaching ranks and how that needed to be changed through ownership that really reflected the player base. And I think that that's a huge lesson, is that we need to change what the ownerships look like across all leagues, so that we're represented better, and that doors of diversity and inclusion continue to open, not just part of the way, but all of the way.
Right. It's that proverbial glass ceiling. Tyrone, how can we help the WNBA and the other ladies' professional sports? How do we bring them additional visibility?
Well, actually, visibility, I'm glad you brought up that question, and I'll come back to answer your question. But visibility, Jen's doing a great job. I want to bring something else to mind as far as visibility. Not only was she in 2015 assistant coach, but I want to know a little bit about this Madden. Since esports is taking off, like esports is like growing like wildfire, you are going to be a female head coach. So we get an opportunity to be playing Madden and see your face. And do you have your coaches growl? Is there some type of motion they're going to show you doing on the sideline of Madden 20? I'm like, tell us about that.
Yeah. So being in Madden 20 to me is one of the coolest achievements. And it really was moved from some great people within Madden. Actually met Mike Young and Robin Cowie, who were the director and producer of the story mode. And they cast me as a reporter in Madden because they loved my story. I was educating them on football with pizza or something, had this character of me in mind. And then as I did it, they then hired me to consult Madden on how they could make the game more approachable. And one of our conversations just kept coming back to what you just said, the importance of visibility and having someone look like you within the game. And so they kind of got to this point where they were like, man, we love that you're in the game, but we kind of hate that it's not you. And so there's a mode in Madden 20 that's Superstar KO mode. And they came back to me with, what if we made you the first ever female head coach in Madden? And I was like, that's dope. Yeah, let's do it. And for me, it's like esports is so powerful because we can change the virtual world and maybe drive the, quote unquote, real world through the virtual world and what we want to see in the future.
That's very exciting. I can't imagine even being in a video game, period. Now, Tyrone knows a little bit about being in video games. I only play them once in a while, but at the end of the day, I mean, so Jen, you're going to be coaching. This guy is going to be playing, and I guess I'm going to be actually playing or something. I don't know. Anyway, back here with Dr. Jed Welter and Tyrone Poole. Back here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Can't beat fun at the old ballpark, friends. High pop fly. That would be a home run in a phone booth. I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you'd get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people, but when you're a little kid, especially from humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has a Barbary over to first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I think if there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch, bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. One ball, one strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said that I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. One ball, two strikes, 2 out. Well, if you're going to talk about our congressman being crooked, here's a pitch foul out of play. Why not talk about commercial products that don't do what they represent to do?
They told me when they hired me it was a temporary job. Born and raised in St. Louis, and you can imagine the Cardinals were my favorite team from the day I could remember. And all of a sudden, the miracle of life, I'm broadcasting Card games. And I own the town and broadcast them for 25 years, and I thought they're going to give me a gold watch, and they gave me a pink slip. Then I went out to work for Charlie Finley for a year, and that's par for the course. Came to Chicago, and I was with the White Sox 11 years, and now with the Cubs. Never missed a game, never missed a time at bat, never missed a half inning that I was supposed to do. You know, Chicago is such a marvelous city. Hey, we got some Chicago people. You know, you never succeed in this business until you've had the experience of working with a terrible hangover. Not until you've been able to come through with flying colors under those circumstances can you consider yourself a professional. Lord knows, I've had more than my share of hangovers.
There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It could be. Holy cow! This crowd is wild!
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP TV mobile studio here in Park City, Utah. That's AAMP TV. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our podcast, and also some of our partners as well. And one of those is the TP38 Foundation. And Tyrone Poole is here to tell us everything about the TP38 Foundation.
Well, again, thank you, Sal, for this opportunity to reintroduce again to everyone the T-Poole or Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation. What it does, we try to help families refill, reform, and just reestablish success, because we believe not only fitness is important and humanitarian work is important, education is important, but if we don't solidify the family, whether the mother and father are together or not together, we don't solidify the family unit, then all of the fitness, all of the humanitarian, all of the education will go to waste. So the Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation refills, reforms, and restores success on the level of family. So if you want to learn more, just go to the Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation.org to get information or to donate.
All right. Big round of applause for the TP38 Foundation. And remember, we have a very special guest with us, and let's let her reintroduce herself.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Jen Welter, first female coach in the NFL and in Madden. Also first female to play running back in men's pro football, 2-time gold medalist with Team USA, and a 4-time women's pro football champion.
And for all you watching on television, a big round of applause for Jen. For all you watching, you notice how the screen just kind of lit up. It made things a little bit brighter when she came onto the screen. I mean, look, I'm in the daytime, I'm in the glass bubble, but it's kind of like the room just lit up when she just showed up. All right, Jen, so welcome back. Hey, listen, let's go back to that Madden thing, because in the last segment, you talked a little bit about being the first, basically you're the first female even on Madden in the first place. But now as a coach, what would be better? Is it better to have a star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood or to be on Madden?
You know, I'm going to go with Madden because Donald Trump has a star on the Walk of Fame. So something about that lost a little bit of its luster.
All right, Tyrone, go ahead.
I tell you, I got a question now. Being around football as much as you have, and also being in the NFL with the Arizona Cardinals again, I want to know, now this is something that you can share that I can't share with everyone. Now I could talk about certain experiences, but what I want to know is what really goes behind those closed doors with those coaches. Now, from start to finish, from a business standpoint and from when it's talking about the athletes. Now, what goes on? What goes on, Jen? Come on, be honest with us now.
What do you mean? You mean during the game or in, like, at what point? We could be here all day with that conversation.
I know, right? And I'm trying to get the real gritty stuff. But say, for example, if they're going to cut a guy, what really goes on behind those closed doors? What is the conversation like? What do they talk about the player? Do they say good things about him, bad things about him? Come on now, this is Sports Circus. Hey, everybody wants to know.
Hey, so we're on the circus. First of all, you know, it's not usually just as simple as you're going to cut a guy, right? You're looking at a roster and you have a depth for each position. Now there might be a little bit of flexibility, you know, do we want an extra linebacker? Do we need to be heavier on our D line? Are we running 3-4-4-3 predominantly? But what it comes down to a lot of the times, and this is for all of my players coming up in the game, whether you are moving on to high school, you are moving on to college, or you are moving on to the pros, when you have the bubble and we are either going to take above or below the line on one of these guys, the conversation often goes to special teams. And they'll be like, okay, we have these 3 guys on the bubble. Coach, which one do you want? And that's when the special teams coach will say, you know what, this person adds value. Like I used to take a lot of pride in special teams. I didn't ever want to come off them. I was special teams MVP, made big plays. It's how I set the tone of my game. So if I was on the bubble, on special teams, they would have taken me 100 times out of 100. So don't ever look past it, and don't ever think you've gotten to a point in your career where you don't need it, because a lot of great players have made the roster based on their special teams contributions.
Now, I would happen to say, I would like to say that just from a viewer standpoint, now I've never been in the middle of a game like you two and on the football field, but it would seem to me that the special team plays, let's just say on a kickoff, for example, before they move the kickoff line, it was the most exciting play in football because everybody's going at full speed, and who knows what the hell's going to happen. There's going to be big collisions. There's the possibility of a 100-yard play or even a 100-yard turnover. All kinds of mayhem could break loose on a special teams play. I like that stuff, and when they move the kickoff line up 5 yards, to me, it was just like the big fizzle moment, like, oh, no. Now guys like Devin Hester couldn't do what he did. And to me, that was very disheartening. Of course, being from Chicago, being a Bears fan, and now seeing Devin Hester at that point couldn't return those kickoffs. What do you two think about that? Start with you, Jen.
I love special teams. Like I said, if you looked at a game in my career, no matter how much I played, I was always pretty much the gunner on kickoff. Team USA 2010, one of my favorites, actually, like little known secret. I was the A-gap blitzer on our punt block because I was little and fast and could get in the backfield. I just think it's such a dynamic element of football that is really unique to football. And you have to have a special mentality. Not everybody is made for special teams, but everybody who's on special teams needs to be 100%, because when they're not, the game can turn very fast.
Yeah, I agree. I love special teams. I was a punt returner, so I love punt returning. I thought, I would rather do punt return than kickoff return, because I just felt like punt return, I could do what I wanted to do. It's not a certain way I got to follow. I don't have to go return left, return right, up the middle. Punt return, I get it. I can run to the right, run to the left. I'm just looking for the open area. But Jen, I want to ask you this. Now, my pre-game ritual. I had a pre-game ritual. Okay, you played the game. What was your pre-game ritual when it came to music? What type of music did you listen to that really got you going? And you're hitting yourself beside the helmet, and you're like, let's go, let's go, let's go. What type of music would you listen to before the game?
It was always a hype hip hop mix, no doubt. And yes, the pre-game ritual is so important, and it really does affect your mentality. Like, do you ever have that game where you're like, your player wasn't working, or like, I remember there was one, I didn't have my headset and I was so mad. Like, I think I took one off a rookie. I was like, you'll be all right. You ain't playing. Like, give me the headset. But it really does set your mentality.
Yeah, but when you have that song in your head, Jen, it doesn't matter. Guess what? You're still doing this on the sideline. You still know what's going on because you got it in your brain. Oh, by the way, folks, we're here with this person, and that would be Dr. Jen Welter, and she is a three-time WPFL champion, IWFL champion, two-time world champion, running back, coach, first female coach in the NFL, and this guy, two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior. Welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates. And so, Jen, let me ask you, when you got that song going through your head, can you just not get it out of your head the whole game, even though you had your headset on, right? But now you're going through the whole game, and even when you walk up, you're in the huddle, and you still got this going through your head, but maybe you're not doing it as much. You're kind of bringing it down a little bit.
You definitely bring it back, but it goes away at times, like, because you're so invested in the game. It's not like you're doing it, but you might come back to the line and like you got to get back to it, and you're like, oh, okay, I got it right here. All right, let's go. Especially like if you were like me and wouldn't come off kickoffs. And remember, I told you what some of those scores were that we beat people by. That's a whole lot of running down the field. But T-Pool, I would have been one of your favorites as a punt returner. Punt was one of my punt return was one of my favorites. I was the edge rusher who came off, made sure the ball got kept them honest. And then our punt returner for a long time was one of my best friends, Alberta Fitcher Bryson. And she would always return opposite whatever edge I was coming off because we had a deal. It's not my job, but I'll get there. If you need that one last block, I got you. So it was like our unwritten rule that I would always be her last block. And we were notorious about, kind of what that last block hurt a few people. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You would like that last block.
Did you ever peel back on somebody, Jen? Did she ever peel back? Did she ever catch someone not looking and like, oh, I got him good?
I mean, a lot. Actually, so there was one block that I was throwing for Berta, and she's one person to beat. And I'm like, I got to get there. Boom. Come back. Big hit right up our sideline. So, the whole stadium was like, ooh, one of those, you just heard it. Yeah. Everybody stand up. Ooh. Berta said, man, this is the day I decided I needed to be a better blocker. She said, I get into the end zone. Berta used to always grind in the end zone, like that was her end zone dance. And she's like, I scored, threw the ball down, I'm grinding, and nobody even saw it because they were still looking at Welty's block. That was dope, and it made me a better blocker. She was like, I want the next.
Yeah, so you gave one of those rule licks. That's what a rule lick is. I learned this from Eric Davis, who played with the 49ers. I played with him in Carolina. He said Ronnie Lott would say, you always want to deliver a woo lick. So I'm like, when he told me the story, I'm like, what's a woo lick? He said, it's that type of lick like you just described, where everybody in the stands say, woo. So yeah, you deliver that woo lick.
Absolutely.
All right, so what's more important? A big woo lick, a scoop and score, or a touchdown on the offensive side? What do you think, Jen?
Oh, a woo lick and a scoop and score. Like, they better score on offense, right? Like, that's your job, right? But if you get a scoop and score, I'm telling you, as a defender, especially when it's like the big men, right? Like the linemen. I don't care if that's offense or defense. That's like one of the most fun. But as a defender, we want the woo lick. And hopefully the woo lick was so good that it caused the ball to get out, and then you had the scoop and score from somebody else. So I'm going with that.
Tyrone, what do you think?
Good choice, the woo lick. You know what? The trifecta, like in hockey, you got the trifecta. You want the fumble, you want the sack, the cause fumble, and then the scoop. That right there, that's it right there.
But come on, one of the funniest things here in our last minute, one of the funniest things that I see are when those jumbo linemen, let's say a big defensive lineman, 300 plus, is rumbling down the field and he's sucking wind for the last 20 yards, just crawling into the end zone. Those are some of the funniest things that I've ever seen on television when it comes to football. Jen, what do you think?
Oh, I love everything about it. And if you're one of their teammates, you're there close enough, number one, that if they need to toss you the ball and you finish it off for them, that you can. Or number two, that you've got to block if it comes around. Like, there have been times when I have run in front of somebody and then turned around to block them to protect their backside because somebody else was like coming up to catch them.
Thanks for joining us, Jen Walker, Dr. Jen Walker, and Tyrone Poole, two-time Super Bowl champion.
If you're tired of the fake news and tired of all the left-wing BS and agendas out there, if you want to do your right part to clean out the swamps and hit the lefties where it hurts, their pocketbook, we all know the president and his cronies hired thousands more IRS employees and agents. Now that's not very American. There's a way to fight back. Fellow conservatives out there, call American Tax Relief. They can help you pay less to the IRS. Don't you give a penny more to spend to the left-wing agendas. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes or haven't filed your taxes in years, call my friends at American Tax Relief. They'll give you a 100% free introduction to their program, and trust me, they're on the right side of your freedom. Pay the IRS less. Call now.
800-958-2157. 800-958-2157. That's 800-958-2157. Paid for by the Tax Doctor.